Hey everybody, welcome to the Relax and Enjoy Health podcast. I'm Andrew Frank and I'm your optimal health, well-being and balance coach. This is episode number 9 where I talk to Barry Bray. Today with Barry we're going to discuss sleep, performance, stress and mental health. Well, it started out that way but it kind of got sidetracked into almost an hour on sleep. Let's get into the interview.
This is amazing tech. All right. Barry Bray of Present Future Self. Welcome and thank you very much for coming on today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
That's awesome. All right. Barry, I'm going to get straight in. I just want you to tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Fabulous. So, Barry Bray, Present Future Self. So I am a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist. So I was a teacher for 20 years in secondary school in the UK. I was an assistant principal, deputy principal, working across multiple schools. And then I decided a couple of years ago, just as everything really kicked off in the world with the great unpleasantness, as they call it, I decided to change career and I retrained as a cognitive behavioral hypnotherapist. So an evidence-based therapy, obviously based around cognitive behavioral therapy, but using hypnosis as a tool to really deepen that experience and be able to explore in a more practical way sometimes. So I started off a couple of years ago sort of doing a bit of everything, and very gradually, they all say you've got to specialize more. I now deal much more with sleep and stress and their relationship and the relationship between that and performance and self-development. So I've kind of gone on a huge self-development journey myself over the last couple of years, and now I teach people to change their habits, again part of cognitive behavioral therapy, but to change their habits and to live a much more fulfilled life and a much healthier, I hope, life, which is very much what I've done.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, I was going through the website yesterday, and I was actually, like you said, you've got the stress, sleep, high performance and self-development, but even still, just those 4 areas covers every single aspect of your life. I mean, stress, you got the stress, anxiety, panic attacks, anything that's, ultimately that is high performance related and everything. And then, but sleep, I mean, sleep covers so many different areas, and oh my goodness, you just don't know where to, from just starting with the bedroom alone. That's the very first step, and just different things, quietening people's minds and everything, from the high performance, which is work, school, sport. I mean, that covers everyone to start with. But I mean, so I love the way on your website, on your self-development, you had self-care habits and routines. Most people think self-development is just a little bit woo-woo, introspective, a bit of meditation and everything. But I just love the fact that it's self-care and your habits and absolutely everything. And it covers everything. It's fantastic.
It's really interesting the way that it came about. I'm a learner at heart, and I think that's why I ended up being a teacher. I love studying. I love learning and finding out about new things. And when I started on my journey of going from being a teacher into being a therapist and a coach, I very much didn't really do a lot of the stuff I do now. I didn't really know what self-care was, if I'm being honest. My idea of self-care would be to not work, on one of the days at the weekend, despite the fact that I'd work 12, 14 hours every other day and all the rest of it. So I'm a real learner. And I started off learning about stress effectively. That's what cognitive behavioral therapy is: stress, anxiety, so it's panic attacks, that kind of thing. And the more I looked into it beyond the training that I did with other training courses and reading and doing my masters and all the rest of it, the more I realized that actually stress is not, it's definitely not a solitary thing. The link between stress and sleep is really quite acute and really, really interesting. And when you get those two things sorted out, your habits and routines, etc., kind of come naturally with that, because when we talk about sleep, habits and routines are absolutely key to everything. And if you get your habits and routines right around sleep, you find yourself falling into this sort of self-development routine, which becomes much easier. I do a lot of work with people who are very, very busy and in high pressure situations, jobs, etc. And one of the first things that most people say to me is, I don't have time to do a routine. I don't have time to sort out self-care. I don't have time. And it's great having been in that position, because actually that's what I would have said to you 3 or 4 years ago. I would have absolutely have said to that, I don't have time to get up early. I don't have to, blah, blah, blah. But what you realize as you do this is that actually you can't afford not to do it. It's such a fundamental part of what we do and how we are. So when I was doing my self-development, I guess it kind of came first. I started changing myself and what I do and how I do it, simply to become healthier. When I changed my career, it was because I didn't want to be an old man when I became an old man. I could see the way that my health was going, both physical and mental health, having been for 20 years. And I thought, in 10 years' time, is anything going to change? And if nothing changes in those 10 years' time, what am I going to be like? Am I going to be a healthy 25-year-old, 35-year-old? Just checking. Am I going to be a healthy man? When I'm in that situation, and if I'm not, then what am I doing? I've got to rearrange that. I've got 2 young children, and I wanted to very much be around for them and be present for them and be active with them, and I simply wasn't in that situation when I did that.
Yeah.
So I started to really look after myself, and that changed with my very first things that I did was I started to think about, okay, the times that I can actually fit something in with no one being around, without building my business, without having family commitments, without commitments to other people and all the rest of it. The only real time I've got is first thing in the morning, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, something like that. My kids are normally up about 7:15. So it's like, okay, so that's what I've got. I can't magic any other time out in the air. I'm looking after them in the evenings and all this stuff. I want to spend time with them. That's one of the reasons I changed my job. So I just decided that the 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock hour would be my hour, would be the Baz hour, when I would do stuff that I wanted to do that would make me fit and healthy and all the rest of it. And I simply started off experimenting. Okay, what do I do in that hour? How can I become more healthy? Do I, do I run, or do I read? Or what do I do? I did a load of reading, a load of sort of experimentation, and I worked out a nice routine, which is pretty solid now, Monday to Friday. I don't do it as much on weekends because I don't have as much time because I've got children. But I have the Monday to Friday where I'm up at 6 a.m. I get 5 minutes, 10 minutes outside in the air, getting light into my system, which comes back to the sleep thing. I drink a litre of water. I do yoga. I do a light yoga, sort of stretchy yoga, as opposed to yoga.
Yep.
And then I do meditation and breath work and self-hypnosis. And that's my hour that sets my day up. And it works in so many beautiful ways. And I love it. And I wouldn't be without it. And a couple of the days a week as well, I'll go for a walk and that sort of thing, because I've got very lucky to have some beautiful countryside. But when you start to commit and diarize, and I'm the sort of person that has to diarize these things, otherwise it just won't work. I diarize going to the gym, otherwise I just won't do it. I won't find time to do it. I'll just try and fit it in, and half the time it won't happen because I'm always busy doing things. So with my 6 to 7 hour, I diarize it. My gym work, I diarize. My self-care routines, I diarize. Literally, even if it's only a 10-minute exercise where I'm doing some breath work or whatever, but I'll put it in my diary so it's a commitment. So when you start to get into that zone of making these commitments and intentionally thinking about what it is that you need to do to make yourself fit and healthy and happy, and it's different for different people. My routine isn't going to work for everybody, and in the same ways others won't work. But when you do that, and when you experiment with it and play with it, which is what I've done for the last 2 years, and I just love it. I love it. I've tried all sorts of different things. But when you find that combination that works for you, your health just takes on a different level. And I'm in a totally different situation to where I was 18 months ago. I've lost 2 years ago, so I've lost 10 kilos. Pretty good. That's all. That's all that middle-aged spread stuff. That's all that middle-aged spread stuff that's come out. And I did that, but I actually lost that initially without going to the gym, for example. So it's you don't need to half kill yourself in the gym trying to work out 5 days a week or whatever it may be, or 2 hours a day.
That's whatever. Exactly right.
you just need to get the habits and routines in that enable that transition to take place. And what I found was very much when I was doing in the beginning of my self-development journey, that just changing my habits and routines, changing, for example, when I ate, made a huge difference to that. I didn't know if I could do it first. I'd never tried it before. So I did a lot of reading, and I listened to a lot of podcasts and all the rest of it, and did some proper research on some things like TRE, so time restricted eating. So eating in a smaller window. So my window.
Exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. So some people know it's fasting. There's all sorts of different sort of
intermittent fasting, 16 and 8. You got 12 and 12. Yes.
Absolutely, but just that whole fact of stopping eating at 6 o'clock, I did that 5 days a week, and I experimented with that. It used to be a bit later, and not eating breakfast. This is all it really is. I don't eat till midday, but just doing that made a huge difference to my weight and to how I was. When I combined that with the other getting exercise and stuff like that, walking and stuff like that. I was never a big gym fan, although I've sort of forced myself to do it now because I like the strength element of it. But just changing those habits and routines, and that's what I teach people, is changing habits and routines. I'm not a nutritionist or anything like that. I'm certainly not a PT, but when you get into the right habits for you that works with your lifestyle, which is a really important thing as well. It's not just chucking something in and going, oh, let's see if that works. It's actually working out what the person's lifestyle is, what the stresses are, what the strains are. So working it with that and working through those other things, you have huge impact. And I know it from personal experience. I had a huge impact on my health. I'm in a much better place than I was. And then that impacts on things like sleep as well. And then when you work with stress, that impacts on that. So self-development, although it was never a primary purpose of mine, if I'm being perfectly honest, when I set out this, it was always stress and sleep. Self-development, then actually the thing I worked out came first for me. And it was then working in all the other elements of sleep and stress. So teaching.
That's fantastic.
Is a lot of what I do.
No, that's fantastic. It's basically you're my spirit animal, because I try and do the intermittent fasting. I try and do I do the 16 and 8. I try not to eat until about 11 a.m. or 12. I try and stop eating about 5 or 6 p.m. I wake up at 5:30 in the morning. From 6 until about 6:45, I do Qigong, a vitality movement method. So basically I've just got nothing but movement and stretching and just giving my body the best possible chance for a good start of the day. I used to be an absolute gym junkie, and I just got to the point where finding an hour, 2 hours every single day was just too much, and I just didn't want to, and I even stopped for about 3 years. And my claim to fame was every time we moved house, I could always just pick up the washing machine, throw it over my shoulder, and just carry it up the stairs. And when COVID hit, we moved house right at the beginning of COVID, and there's the washing machine, and I could not lift it. I'd just gotten slack, and my wife was looking at me expecting the magic to happen. I'm just like going, eh. And I got full on back into the gym and stuff, and then I found out that I was just tired of being sore all the time. I was tired. I felt old. I felt like I wasn't recovering. And so I went back to my fundamentals, and now I've got because I did Qigong full on for like 6 to 9 months, and I found out my shoulders disappeared, and I, my legs got smaller, my arms got smaller, and it was just like, because Qigong is more stretching and longer muscles and more mental, and so it's just a moving meditation. So one thing I actually found was I found the equilibrium. I went back to the drawing board, and I've got my muscle workout, which I only have to do once a week, and it maintains my muscle mass, and that means I can still dedicate time to the Qigong and stuff. So there's 30 minutes of Qigong, which is just pure stretching, and then there's 15 to 20 minutes which is just pure mind work, which just trying to expand your horizons and everything. So it's really, really amazing when you find what works for you. Your vitality increases, you're excited about it, you want to do it.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? There's not one size fits all for everybody. You're gonna need different things. Recovery is really important if you're doing gym work, and I do gym work 3 times a week now. I do 3 hours. That's it. I split it up in various groups, but that's it. But I allow plenty of recovery, and I also listen to my body. So if I'm due to go in on a Monday and I'm clearly not in the right state for whatever reason, whether it's whatever it may be, having session on the Friday or just a long weekend, whatever it may be, then I won't do it. I'll delay it and I'll go on the Tuesday, whatever. So I'm flexible with it. And actually, that is a key to these routines is flexibility, because if you set yourself a routine which you have to do, and that's it, and it's not negotiable, and blah 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 blah, and then you start to miss 1 or 2 things, we're much more inclined when we miss it a few times to go, oh, that's done. It's a bit like with dieting and all the rest of it. Oh, that's done. I'll just scoff the next whatever 5 cakes, whatever it may be. But when you make them flexible and you practice what's called self-compassion, really important concept, then actually it becomes much easier to maintain over a long period of time. And likewise, when you go through life, and life is not linear. Life does not just always obey your instructions, and you can't do things in that sort of rigid way all the time. So again, by having flexible routines and routines that work for you, and you can, and being intentional with it, you can go over those humps when actually maybe it isn't right to go and do this for a couple of weeks because something's come up, or whatever it may be. But that's fine, because in 2 weeks' time you can get back on it. That's fine. It's flexible.
Exactly.
I've built system. I understand that, and I'm practicing self-compassion. But I'm really glad you do it. It sounds awesome what you do, and it clearly works for you. So that's what it is. And again, with my clients, especially when people are time poor, and they're going, oh, I can't do this. I do a lot of experimentation with stuff. It's not like it's not necessarily an exact science. You go do this, and you sort all your issues.
Oh, that's right. But it just comes back to what can you do?
Encourage fun with it, because actually that's what it is. It should be fun. That's why you're going to maintain it over the long term.
That's it. I mean, the only diet and exercise program is the one that actually you can keep doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because 100%. They're all going to work. They're all going to work.
And I think you need to shift as well from the mindset. I really don't like the word diet. I really hate the word diet, in fact, because simply it implies something that's a sort of a special thing that you have to do, rather than a thing that you just do. So when I look at, for example, my habits and routines, you could say my TRE is a particular diet, particular way of eating. I just see it as that's what I do. My mindset is it's not a special thing. It's just the way I operate. Like whether I drink or don't drink milk, or whether I drink alcohol or don't drink alcohol. It's just the way I live my life. And so it's not a special thing I do. It's just what I do. And therefore that becomes sustainable, rather than I've got to, hit 1,500 calories a day and that's it, or whatever it may be, or I've got to X, Y, Z. It's about getting out of that mindset of a special state and seeing it as just something the way you do, just the way you live your life. And that's what it is.
That's fantastic. It's just a whole lifestyle change. And because, well, it's like work. If you find something you love doing, you never work a day in your life. And it's exactly the same, because if you just eat, because one thing I find, I actually, every Sunday, I let myself go, because out here we have buffets. It's an all-you-can-eat fest. So every single day there's bacon, eggs, hash browns. We've got sausages. We've got bacon and egg scrolls. We've got croissants. We've got danishes. You name it. We have got unlimited supply of food and everything. And I just choose not to. And but every Sunday. Every Sunday, I allow myself bacon and eggs, and I allow myself hash browns and stuff. And one thing I find is if I do it on Sunday, I want to do it on Monday or Tuesday, but it's just like, well, it's not Sunday. So, we eat the way, that's best for us.
You've got to enjoy what you do and enjoy your life. And it's like with alcohol and stuff like that. So, alcohol is clearly not good for sleep. It's not good for a whole variety of things, but and just because I teach people to sleep doesn't mean I don't drink alcohol, because I do. I really and I like it, but all I do is I just limit myself to a couple of times a week. That's how I deal with it. A maximum, maybe it's once, maybe it's twice. but I don't deny myself that, because that just wouldn't work for me. It doesn't work for my lifestyle. But I'm intentional with it. So I'm conscious of what I'm imbibing. I'm conscious when I'm doing it, and I account for that. So I've still got that enjoyment, but it doesn't impact me, negatively in terms of me. It's a joy. It's a source of things that I like. With all things, like with the 6 o'clock start on weekends, I may do it in truth, but I may not. And actually, I'm good with that, because my kids come first and my family comes first.
That's exactly right. Family time is everything, really.
And they unfortunately, they do tend to get up early on a Saturday. We've got clubs going on and all sorts of things. And so actually, although I could do that, is it necessary? No, I've done my Monday to Friday. I've got my basics in. I'm in a really good place. I will do a meditation on the weekend, and I will do some yoga or some stretching or something like that. So I keep that going on, and lots of walking as well. But that's not. It's not the have to. It's not the if this doesn't happen, then it's the end of the world kind of thing. So that flexibility is brilliant, and like I say, I'm in a really good place. I'm happy since I've started doing this. This I've had a real change in my life, if I'm being honest, over the last couple of years, and I'm much better for it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love the way, because you're coming at it from an area of self-compassion. Instead of I have to, it's I get to. And I think that is a massive, shift in anybody's life. Is the simple fact is, if you get to do something, you're excited, you look forward to it and everything like that. But the cool thing is, the weekends with children, it's supposed to be chaotic. It's supposed to be all over the place. It's supposed to be like that, but the cool thing is, just depending on the age of the children, just keeping up with them and in itself is a physical exercise.
Yeah, they are very energetic, and all the more reason for me to be doing my routines and all the rest of it to make sure I've got the matching energy. They are. They were one of the real drivers behind it. There's nothing like having young kids to make you feel a bit older and realize maybe your limitations in some way. And like I said, when you're not in, it comes down to choices, doesn't it? What do you want to be? How do you want to do it? Yes, I can. I can go out. I can go and drink 5 nights a week or whatever, or not go to the gym or whatever because I'm too busy, whatever it may be. Or I can choose to be conscious of that and work that in my day. And that's all it was, really. It wasn't that I was consciously choosing to be unhealthy, just that I wasn't consciously choosing to be healthy. And making
exactly right. And I think that's everyone's struggle.
Making the choices that support that. Yeah. And again, it doesn't have to be. It's not that you have to go and do massive things. It's the small things, the 1%ers, if you like, the ones where you make a small improvement here, and it all adds up, and it makes you feel totally different about yourself and totally different about the way. When you're sleeping better, you've got better control over your stress. When you're doing stuff about your stress, you're sleeping better. Your general health is better. You eat better. You have better habits. So when I retrained, it was I didn't really expect all this. In honesty, I knew what it was about. My work and schools and stuff. I was very much aware of what therapies were because of the pastoral side of what I did. But I didn't realize it was such a profound impact on the way I lived my life and viewed myself. I kind of thought, I'm changing jobs and I'll be able to take more control of my time and do what I want to do, etc. But the fundamental of me as a person, health and all those sorts of things, I didn't think it would impact me in that way. So I got my money's worth, not just with the qualification and the study and all the rest of it, but with me as a person.
That's fantastic in the way, because strange enough, as we speak, my wife is actually in Noosa in Brisbane at home. She's in her second week of her 3-week course with Alistair Horscroft with NLP and hypnotherapy. So she's getting her certification and everything. So we're currently looking at everything NLP and hypnotherapy at the moment, and just the changes that it can make. And so she was talking to me on the phone this morning, and she welded my hand to the table, and I was just like, yeah, great, thanks for that. And so she was quite pleased and chuffed with herself. But yeah, it's just the mind is just an amazing thing. You know, we've been learning more and more about it over the last few years.
Yeah, it is. And the hypnosis is very interesting because it's really misunderstood. It's really misunderstood. Everyone thinks it's getting up on the stage and being made to dance like a chicken or whatever it may be. And actually, hypnosis is just an extension of our natural state. It's just a hyper-focused state of attention. That's all it really is. And when we're in that, but when we have that suggestibility, it can open up some remarkable things for us. And like you say, it's quite amusing when you got the magnetic finger convincer or the hand step convincer, etc. They're really remarkable things. And I do remember when I did my training, I was sort of I wasn't cynical, but I certainly question everything. I question everything. I'm curious about everything. And I think that's a really healthy position. And I remember doing my first couple of hypnotic exercises and just what on earth this is. And then when you are in class and when someone's doing it with you and you experience it, wow, there's a change there. There's like okay, so that does work, and that feeling. And hypnosis is a tool. It's a way to help people. It's not the therapy itself, it's a tool. So the training that I have is applying cognitive behavioral principles within hypnosis, etc. And it also covers things like suggestibility when you do exercises that aren't necessarily hypnotic, but involve you focusing your attention maybe on breathing or on concepts or whatever. Again, when you experience things like that, you understand the power of the mind and the power of suggestion, the power of self-talk, what we tell ourselves becoming our reality rather than what reality is, whatever reality in those. So I think hypnosis is and hypnotherapy. It's an really interesting area that we're still understanding, even though there's a lot of it's been around for a long time. We're still understanding how it really impacts, how it really works, and the sort of the benefit of hetero versus self-hypnosis, for example. Hypnosis whether done by me or self-hypnosis, when's the best time to teach that, how that can impact on you personally, and how that becomes a manageable part of your daily routine. I do a self-hypnosis routine every single morning. It only takes 3 minutes, and I vary that according to what I've got in the week in the day. But hypnosis is really fascinating, and it wasn't at all what I thought it would be when I trained.
Wow, that's amazing. So when you went into it, you thought it'd be something completely different.
Yeah, in truth, I wasn't quite sure why. I can't remember thinking it would be this or that. I was just very healthily cynical about it. Before I signed up for the course, I did a load of research, as I do with these things. I always do a load of research, and read up on what it was. And there's a lot of conflicting stuff out there. This is the whole state versus non-state argument. State, are you effectively under the control of somebody else, the hypnotist, or is that actually something where you are in control, which is clearly where the evidence is. But there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's hypnosis is something where the individual is in control. I can talk to people when they're in hypnosis. It's not like they're under and all of a sudden, they're doing everything you say, or the person's doing everything you say. It's just a way of utilizing the imagination, is what we do in cognitive behavior. Really utilizing the imagination to look at various scenarios and seem to explore possibilities. But this idea of you're under someone else's control is just nonsense. It's a way that you allow someone to not allow, but the way you enable someone to really explore in a much deeper and a deeper level the issues that are concerning them, but obviously doing it in a very specific, trained way, if that makes sense. Not just going,
no, exactly right. I just love, because in Qigong we have because they know about the altered states of consciousness. They know about our conscious mind. They actually call it the monkey mind, because it's just jabber 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 jabber, and so they know that to calm a monkey, you have to give it a banana. So you have to give it a distraction. So if you can calm the monkey by giving it breathing to concentrate on, so I want you to just breathe in for 4 and breathe out for 4, and just get that happening, and just get that rhythm happening. And all of a sudden the monkey is now calm. And so you can actually access your spirit mind, so you can actually access the subconscious. And so it's just like, well, what is that? Well, what do I really need to go through? So you find it with a lot of people. They come in and it's just like, oh, this is wrong, that's wrong, this is happening, this is okay. And I actually tell them, just take a deep breath. Now I want you to put all that emotion on the floor, take one step back, and now tell me, what is the actual problem? What can we do right now to fix this? And all of a sudden they just go, oh, well, if this happens, everything else will get fixed up. Okay, well, let's do that. And I actually do that in the workplace. And, people just go, oh, well, that was easy.
Exactly. It comes back to that, intentional time to switch off and to do nothing. And when I say do nothing, I don't mean to go on your phone or to watch Netflix or whatever it may be. It's literally to allow your body and your brain to relax and rest and not be stimulated. So, doing breathing, I sort of talk about this a lot, where you just sit down and do a very simple breathing exercise for 2 to 5 minutes at your desk if you really need to. I prefer to do it outside, but you just close it down, put your laptop lid down or whatever it is, close your eyes and allow your brain to have the space to start to process, to start to have a rest. To get outside is so important. Just to go. I mean, I'm very lucky here. I do at the moment. Since COVID, I've been working a lot from home and stuff, and doing lots of Zooms and stuff. So I've got my garden just out there, and I can just go out there every hour or so and just have 5 minutes and sit with myself. But I'm not on my phone. I'm not stimulating myself. I'm not trying to watch stuff. I'm just allowing nature to take its course. I've also got lovely walks and all the rest of it, so I take extended ones. But taking those regular breaks are really important, as is doing things like taking holidays and stuff like that, actually taking your entitlement. We have this culture, don't we, in the Western world, where you have to just work, and if you're not hustling and grinding and working all the time, you're not performing.
Exactly.
But we know the research says that's absolute nonsense. We know that there's you take your holidays and you have less stress, better mood, you have better performance. And there was a thing that was, I think it was Harvard. It was in Harvard Business Review a few weeks back, when they talked about a study they did that showed that you were much more likely to get a promotion. Those that took their holiday entitlement, believe it or not, I think it was over 10 or 12 days or something. They took more. They had a sort of 34% better chance of being promoted and earning more money. So it's like, when you don't take this time off and these breaks to allow yourself to rest and recuperate, it doesn't make any sense not to do that. But again, I was in that position,
I've been a chef for 30 years. Captain. I used to be like that all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
I was just talking about it with my boss today, actually. Is the simple fact is, you've got, so I've just come to a new camp. It was a bit of a mess. I'm the new head chef, so now I'm in charge of a kitchen of about 20 people, and this has got to be done, that's got to be done. Everyone's coming. The second you walk in the door, can I do this? What do you do? When are you going to organize this? When are you going to get this happening? And if you don't take that second to just give yourself that little bit of space, like I've actually said to someone, saying, okay, you don't see me with a coffee. I've just walked in the door. I will have a coffee first, so you need to turn around, walk away. When I've got my coffee, you can come back. And just the simple fact is, you get yourself space, which means your brain quietens down enough sometimes for that answer to actually just filter up. Because if your brain's filled with everything, that answer is going to stay down here. You're not going to get access to it. And then all of a sudden, you just take 5 minutes, you go breathe outside, you go sit in the garden or whatever, and then all of a sudden, I could just swap Cheryl onto the other shift. All of a sudden, the answer will just come to you because you've allowed yourself that space. Yeah. And sometimes, like you're saying, people just work too hard. They don't take the holiday. They don't take 5 minutes off. They work 8 hours straight, eat at their desk, don't stop. And they're just not allowed themselves just that space. It's like meditation is the same thing. You're giving your brain that space. Whereas,
Exactly.
you know, between, you know, thought and reaction, it's just like thought, okay, now I can choose how to react, you know, and, you know, it's amazing, just that act of rest, I guess.
That reminds me of when I first started that, I came across something I've actually got on my website, a recording called Leaves on the Stream, which is basically just an exercise that you can do, which allows you to accept thoughts that come in, but choose not to pay attention to them. So, you know, you can have stressful, we have this this thing where, you know, we assign thoughts importance, creating the stress, and we can choose to have the thought. You know, we don't want to try and stop having thoughts. It's just not going to happen. It's impossible. What we can do is, when the thoughts come in that stress us or are difficult or whatever, cause procrastination, whatever it may be, we can accept the thought, but we just don't have to pay attention. So there's a lovely exercise called Leaves on the Stream, which I remember doing, whereby you just imagine yourself, imagine a stream, either you've been there or in your imagination, and you go through a series of breathing exercises just to calm yourself down. And you have this idea of leaves coming down, and you're putting a thought that's stressful to you on the leaf and just watch it go by. Now, it sounds really
Amazing.
simple, and honestly, it is really simple. And I was very much a cynic when I first came. I was like, yeah, what are you talking about? In truth, but it's amazing. It's actually one of the things I do with a lot of my clients now, as an exercise, in the fact that you just because you have a stressful thought, you don't have to pay attention. You don't have to believe it. Our thoughts are not accurate representations of everything. You know, your limiting beliefs, whatever. So it's a really nice exercise. And again, just to diffuse those thoughts, just to let things go. You know, when you're working, I like that bit you said about, you know, taking that time just to have that moment, that pause. Very often when I've got a big piece of work that I'm a bit nervous about, and I had this, I'm doing a master's degree in psychology and mental health and well-being, and I had a statistics paper to do, and I've never done statistics before, not I remember, and certainly not since I was, you know, at school, 15, 16 years old. I've never done it before. I was like, bloody hell, I'm going to be doing master's level statistics. How do I do that? And it was actually, honestly, really quite terrifying. In truth, I wasn't sure how I was going to do. So I employed the techniques that I employed with my clients, with me. Before I would sit down with the piece of work on the days, I would do a 5-minute exercise of just calming my mind, allowing it all to come through, and then you start the work, blah, 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 and just break it down. And I found doing that genuinely really, really helped me with actually doing a piece of work that I was genuinely, wouldn't say scared of, but I was definitely very, very, very nervous about. And so lots of techniques that we can use. Really simple stuff, and that's the thing about that work and mental health. I try to keep things pretty simple, because you can go into all sorts of complicated things, but it's not necessary most of the time. When you just do the basics well, you get your routines right, you get your breathing right, you think about your breaks, your hydration, what you eat, your sleep, really, really key. When you get all those things right, and they're small habits, fantastic, bingo, off you go, you know. But those little bits of breaks, you know, when we don't allow ourselves or our brain a chance just to come out of that sympathetic, out of that fight or flight, out of that continually doing stuff, if we don't allow that, it just becomes much more difficult for us to deal with, and it directly impacts on our performance, and it impacts on our mood, and it impacts on our relationships with people, not just work colleagues, but the people that we love. And so you know, the interesting thing is, the more I learn about all this stuff, and I still consider myself very much in the learning mode. There's a hell of a lot, but there's so much to know. There's so much to know, and so much we don't know.
I love the fact that
really exciting.
the only thing I know for a fact is that I just don't know.
Yeah,
you know, and it doesn't matter what I've learned. I just love the fact that, you know what, I just don't know enough.
I think it was Bill and Ted said, I know that I know nothing. Or was that Socrates? Just joking.
I think it's the same thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the great thing is that we are still learning about all these things. But as sleep, you know, we still really know what sleep is for. You'll ask a dozen experts, and they'll all say slightly different things, and all the rest of this. There's so much stuff we don't understand with health and mental health, and we're always learning and always uncovering. And again, that comes back to the point I made earlier about having that sense of fun and a sense of inquisitiveness about stuff, and compassion, and not taking things as maybe as black and white as you might want them to be. It's such a thing to explore, and as part of, I think, of why I love what I do, because I'm constantly learning stuff, I'm constantly developing and constantly applying those things to me. So it's not just theory, it's about the practicalities of doing stuff, about what makes a real impact. And it always comes back to these simple habits, simple routines make, for my clients, the biggest impact in general. Yes, you need to do deeper work with individuals, and of course everyone's different, but when you get the basics right, which people just don't do, get your sleep right, your diet right, your exercise right, that sort of stuff, that moves the dial. That really moves the dial, and it makes you look like a bit of a genius, because you go, this isn't
I know.
And it's
just amazing. Like, if you could, like, there was a woman at work a couple of months back, and she came at me, and her boyfriend had left, her mum had died, the mortgage was foreclosing on the house and everything like that. She was just freaking out left, right, and center, and it was just like, okay, so what's the number one problem right now? Well, all this stuff's happening, and I'm just not sleeping and everything like that. And it's like, okay, can't do anything about mum. We can't do anything about the husband. We can't do anything about the mortgage. Your 100% focus right now is to get through this 2 weeks at work to make money for the mortgage. The only way you're going to get through this 2 weeks is if we can make you function better. The only way to make you function better is if we can get you to sleep through the night, rather than wake up, your monkey brain's just giving you a hard time. And it was as simple as, I told her the minute she finished work at 6:30 at night, her only job is to have dinner straight away. Then she's to go have a ultra long hot shower, and turn off all the lights except for the light above the pillow. And when she goes, she's to sit in the chair, not in her bed, sit in the chair with her phone, get one of those paint by numbers where you just tap, because your brain's going to be busy anyway, but this way you can control the busyness. And so you have to find the number ones, you have to find the number twos, you have to find the number threes. And then she came the next day and she slept for 6 hours straight before her monkey mind jumped in again. Yeah. But just like you're saying, establishing a simple routine, your only job is to bring yourself into a state where you can go to bed.
And with sleep, it's really important, because your body, works on the circadian rhythm. There's roughly 24 hours, 24 hours, and about 9 minutes, they believe now, something like that, where your body wants regularity. It wants to know when you're going to eat. It wants to know when it needs to be releasing, cortisol or melatonin or whatever it may be. It wants that light cycle, the light and dark cycle. It wants to have all that in a consistent manner. And when you sort the consistency out, and that's actually one of the biggest things I've done for myself, is sort my sleep out, because I was always growing up not the greatest sleeper. And in my sort of early 20s and all the rest of it, early 30s, probably partying too much, in truth, and not getting any kind of regularity. And as I moved into what I'm doing now, and I set my routine, so I go to bed at the same time pretty much every night now. Certainly during the week I do that. On the weekends get slightly different. I give myself a slightly thing, but I get up at the same time. So I get up at the same time, and now I don't use an alarm clock. I haven't used an alarm clock now for a year or so, because I've got myself into a routine and my body knows to wake up at about 5:45 to 6, regular as clockwork. I don't have to think about it. Yep. Even if I get a bit later, I'm still up at 6.
Exactly.
I account for all that. So when you're getting that consistency of going to bed at the same time, whatever that may be, and getting up at the same time, has a huge impact on the quality of your sleep. When you're getting that light in the morning, it's really important. One of the biggest influences is light, if not the biggest influence, is light on our sleep. getting lots of light in the morning, and that's why I go out first thing, 5-10 minutes, and get even if it's a bit grayer like it is today, unfortunately, get out there, get that light in. And when it comes to the evening, we dim the lights and all the rest of it, and we get the screens and before bedtime. So we're giving our bodies that signal that it's okay now. We're going to relax. We're going to get into that sleep mode. We're going to encourage the production of things like melatonin within the dark. And again, that light regulation signals your body now it's time to sleep. And it's not that it's a cure-all for anything, because obviously, in someone who's more complicated, that's about behaviors and as well as your hygiene.
Exactly,
and all those things. But it gives, again, it's about maximizing the chances of getting good sleep. That's what it's
exactly. And that's the same for everybody. It's giving yourself the best possible chance. And I love the way you say about the circadian rhythms and going outside in the morning. It's just like, so if people can go outside before 10 a.m. in the morning, just that level of sunlight that actually goes into your eyes will determine your melatonin, vitamin K. It also helps determine your digestion. There's so many different processes that just come through light that filters through your eyes. And the other thing is, people don't realize that light that you get before 10 a.m. will tell your body what the light level will be like after 12 p.m., which will actually help regulate all your skin so you won't get sunburnt as much. And just, it affects so much. And people just, they're just taught that the sun is the devil. I mean, especially here in Australia, you're gonna get skin cancer, mate. You're gonna get skin cancer. You're gonna die. So, and like, children cannot leave kindergarten to go outside unless they've got a hat, sunscreen, long shirts. So the sun has really, really been demonized. I mean, I can say that over here because we have nothing but sun. We've got winter. We've got winter at the moment. It's 25 in the daytime. It's just perfect blue sky. I know. So we are 100% spoiled. I think you guys really, really screwed up when you sent us convicts over here. It's just like, hang on. So we get winning cricket teams. We get perfect weather. I know. So we're just like, no worries, fair cop. We've got this. But yeah, so many different things, and just something my wife and I have done. For so long we lived on a budget, and we would turn the lights off at nighttime because we didn't want to pay the electricity bill. But we've never had a problem sleeping. Our house is just lamps at nighttime and everything like that. I make sure my phone, and this is for everybody, please set your phones up to utilize the blue light filter when the sun goes down. That's a massive thing for all your electronic screens. And also, you're talking about the same bedtime and having a standard bedtime all the time so your brain knows what time it goes to bed. But I just watched this Buddhist monk a couple of days ago, and he was saying how the bedroom, just when they become Buddhist monks, they get a tent and a yoga mat, and that's your bedroom. So you're not comfortable. You don't spend the millions of dollars on that big comfy mattress, because the whole idea is you're there to sleep. And of course, it's the workbench. We all know that. However, but those are the two things that the bedroom is for. And don't do the work there.
Phones are really, what you talk about here, really, really interesting, because you're right. You got your night light. I wear blue blockers as well. I've got those from I think they're an Aussie company. I think they're called Bond. They were called Blue Blocks, but I think they're called Bond Chance or Bond Change or something like that now. But actually, again, with my clients, I find it easier for them to just set a time when that goes off. So when the TV goes off, when the laptop goes off, when the phone goes off, because although you can wear blockers and stuff, again, it's about habits, isn't it? If you say at 7:30, my rule, Monday to Friday, whatever it is that my phone goes off and goes on do not disturb, and I don't use it again for whatever reason. Everyone knows that, or if you have your emergency things, whatever, WhatsApp, whatever it may be. But if you have that then actually it doesn't. Then you don't have to worry about things like blue blockers. It's just that's part of the routine. Again, it's it's that whole thing of getting yourself into a position whereby you're signaling your body to regularly in the same way to relax and get into that state. So if you just don't have them, have a time. So mine goes off at 8 o'clock. So that's it. 8 o'clock, phone, do not disturb, pop it away, don't look at anything. Again, with the laptop and stuff, that sort of thing. You can have night mode on your laptop and that sort of stuff. There's other things, but I just get rid of them so I don't have that as part of it. So I don't have to even think about it. And I think that's really important where you get your habits. Again, I do like blue light blockers and all the rest of it, but I just think the more effective way is to set those rules. Now, if you're turning your laptop off or your phone off, whatever, at 7:30, then you're setting your brain is just shoving everything to one side. It's gone, that's it, that's my time, blah, blah, blah. I don't have to think about it. Rather than if you've got blue blockers and you're still stimulating and all the rest and still thinking, probably the temptation when you've got that is to be on your email or to be on this or that or the other, LinkedIn or whatever it may be. Where actually you can just take that temptation away. And if you really need to, because you're in a particular busy time or whatever, and then and occasionally you need to break that, then you've got your flexibility because you've intentionally done that. That's fine.
That's your self-compassion coming in. But also, so let's take those blue blockers and utilizing all that. You are using that as a way to stay in a toxic environment longer, which is a completely separate problem again. So, you're talking, like when we first started this conversation, you were saying how, you're fixing these little basic things, which fixes all these deeper issues. So all of a sudden you find at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, you're turning off your phone, you're turning off your laptop, you're putting the electronics aside. Oh my goodness, what could possibly be the side effect of showing your partner that they're important to you, important enough to give them your undivided attention from 7:30 till 10 p.m.? What could possibly happen to a person's life then? So we're talking the flow-on effects from all these little tiny habits, because that's one thing. I mean, I do it when I go home. I'm home for 6 days, and my phone, I have different settings for do not disturb. So when I go home from 6 o'clock at night, my wife and I, that is our time. And if we choose to use it watching Netflix and catching up on, the series of Numbers or whatever, that's what we do. But yeah, when we go to bed, her routine is she goes to bed and she hits the pillow and she's asleep. Like 38 seconds, she's out. And like I've been a workaholic my entire life, a chef, work until midnight. Of course, I can't sleep. I've got to wind down, and the arrogance. And in actual fact, go to bed, read until you get tired, and turn the light out. That's it. But don't only read fiction. Just get out of your world, get out of your day, and that is your transition into sleep time. And that's it. That is the only things that happen in the bedroom at nighttime, and then it's sleep time. And then, we wake up naturally in the morning. There's no alarm clocks. Like, dawn is only just coming across the horizon. There's no light coming in the room, but there's no reason to wake up other than the fact is it's time.
Yeah. Your body's going to tell you when to wake up, but when it's had that, if you're getting your habits all right, you've got your chronotypes. You could be a more inclined morning lark or a night owl, or somewhere in between. You could be inclined, to go to bed earlier and get up earlier, or go to bed late and get up later, and that's fine. But you're allowing your body to find that out. If you've got that regularity. The great thing is as well, is that even if you are a night owl, even if your natural tendency is to want to go to bed late and get up late, you can train yourself to become more of a morning lark. It's not 100% perfect. Obviously not. You prefer to go with your natural rhythm, but the reality of life is that most people are going to be up and going to work at whatever time in the morning. That doesn't necessarily fit in very well with a night owl chronotype. So, but giving yourself a chance to do that is really, really important by getting the regularity and stuff like that. And especially in Australia, making sure your room is dark, blackout blinds, that sort of thing. Because again, we want to make sure that you give yourself the best chance of going to sleep. And we know that melatonin, for example, is activated by dark. lack of light, and that's what's part of what helps you get to sleep in the first place. And it's mostly reduced in the first sort of 60 to 80 minutes or so of your sleep, and so you want to make best use of that. And there was interesting research done by Harvard on things like blue light and blue light suppressing melatonin, and it's something like, if I remember off the top of my head, it's something like that every hour that's on, it suppresses melatonin risk by 30 minutes. If you've got it on before you go to bed, everything that's all there, you delay the melatonin. That makes it much harder for you to go to sleep. Makes it much harder. Then has the knock-on effect with your sleep stages and when you're getting up, etc. So just doing those basic things is really important, as things like coffee and all the rest of it, and not drinking in the afternoons and that sort of stuff. But I guess in Australia,
we could cover everything.
Oh yeah, there's so much.
Okay, again, well, Barry, I just had a look at the clock. We have talked for an hour on sleep. We haven't even covered anything you do.
That's all right. It's good.
Okay, so everyone, while you're listening, just remember caffeine is a half-life of 6 hours. So that way you need to make sure you stop by about 3 p.m. in the afternoon at least. This is just incredible, Barry. But okay, if you don't mind, we're going to get you to come back and we're going to do more of this, because we can cover so many different things. We can talk about sleep for 1 hour. So we haven't even discussed what your clients' biggest struggles are. How do you help them overcome them? We're on question 2.
We're on question 2. There you go. I must stop talking so much.
This is fantastic.
But that's the thing, is that there is so much to cover. There's so much to know and to learn, and it's just. But it does come back. It always comes back to me every time I do this with clients. It just comes back, as I said right at the beginning, to the habits, the simple, repeatable, consistent habits that you can get into to maximize your chances, so that when life is tough and things go a bit wonky, which it does for everybody, you are in a better position to maintain the sleep, or to be less stressed, or to maintain your self-development and therefore your performance.
It's just amazing. So just by fixing our sleep, we have given ourselves a better chance of success for the day. We're going to perform better. We're going to have the ability to keep with our eating program, or that we have chosen to pursue, because when we're going to have better self-control, we're going to have better willpower. And as we all know, that the more tired you get, the less willpower. It's like the sliding scale.
You want the fatty stuff when you haven't slept.
That's exactly right. So you're tired, then man, you're going to eat that cake. You're upset, you're going to eat that cake. So the more you can keep yourself on an equilibrium, you're going to have better chances of success in every single area of your life. The flow-on effect, we're stopping electronics earlier. We're actually going to be able to spend time with our partner and actually show them as a priority in our lives. So that's going to develop and help our relationships with our partner, our children, and we're not only that, I mean, especially for yourself, Barry, so how old are your children? You said you have 2.
They are 11 and 7. So one just about to go up to secondary school, and the other one.
Okay, so 11 and 7. So number one, the 7-year-old still believes in Santa and magic and everything like that. The 11-year-old's peeking behind the curtain, and but the cool thing is, you're still the strongest man in the world. You're still amazing, and they see your example. The thing is, we can tell them whatever we want until we're blue in the face, but they see what you're doing on a daily basis. So this is the thing.
And that role modeling is really, as I've learned again over the last 18 months, modeling the behaviors to my kids that I'd like them to adopt, or at least consider adopting, which is always difficult because they have totally different needs when they're younger and all the rest of them, different developmental stage. But when you model that, it becomes easy. And that's what happened with the water. So I've always talked to my kids about drinking lots of water and how much we lose every night and all that sort of stuff. And so I was blue in the face and they weren't taking it up at all. And then we started a really simple thing at breakfast time where I would give them a glass, which is about 300 ml of squash, and I would drink my water with them. And as soon as I did that, I'm not joking, they just get through this stuff. They get through this stuff all throughout the year now. And again, be the change that you want to see in your kids is a really powerful thing. And I'm very much an advocate of that. I'm very much an advocate of living the life that I am promoting. And so that's one of the other things, is that all these things that I talk about, I do. I'm not just telling you this is the advice. I do the whole 1 liter of water when I get up, and drinking 3 liters or more depending on workouts and all the rest of it. I do the sleep. I do the diet, the eating properly, and all the rest of it in specific ways to maintain my lifestyle and all the rest of it. So I think that's it when it comes to my kids, and that's when I left teaching, etc. One of the things I wanted to do was be more present and be a better role model for them. Doing that sort of stuff, which is actually relatively simple. It's not as hard as you think it is. They don't go to the gym with me, but I tell them that I've gone to the gym, and they can see, in fact, my body shape has totally changed in the last 6 months, in a good way. And so they can see that, and they are much more now inclined. They will be much more inclined to adopt those healthy habits as well as you. So again, being that change for my kids. I'm not perfect, far from it, and all the rest of it. But being that change has been a big help to them as well as to me.
No, that's absolutely amazing, and it's so important that they see that growth, they see that change in you, but also the fact that you can keep up with them, and they're just or not like Terry's dad. Terry's dad has to he stops and he helps, and they talk like that. They all know. So I mean, that's the fantastic thing, and a little bit jealous. All my kids are all grown up now, so I miss the young years. I miss being the strong man, So it's absolutely beautiful. All right, Barry, I think we might call it there. We might call that, and thank you. Just 100%, pretty much. We've covered sleep and just how it can change everything and just give you a better chance of success in your day.
Yeah, it's one of the fundamentals of our health, and it is neglected, and it's not talked about enough, and certainly not talked about enough in schools and stuff like that.
All right, so I am going to jump all the way down to the very last question. What do you recommend for people to give them the best chance of success?
Oh, that's a really interesting one. I think self-compassion is really important. Accepting, in whatever it is that you do, accepting that, again, life is not linear. It's going to it's going to throw some curveballs at you. So self-compassion is really important. Educating yourself. And by educating yourself, I'm not just mean going and collecting a load of facts and figures and all the rest of it. I'm talking about finding out what works for you and why it works for you, and utilizing that. So in a practical way. And the third one would be, I guess, would be just be consistency. Be as consistent as you can with especially with your sleep, but then wherever it is, whether it's using meditation practices or breathwork practices or whatever it is you're in, or yoga or your food, just being consistent with that and allowing yourself and your body to utilize it and make the best benefit of it. And they're probably, I guess, 3 of the easiest things to do, because they don't require massive investment in money. They don't require you to, be particularly rich or anything like that. They are things that you can do within your lifestyle if you choose to intentionally do it.
Barry, thank you so much. You're literally a living legend, and I'm richer for meeting you today. Thank you so much for coming on.
And you,
Andrew. And can we organise something in a couple of weeks, and we'll cover one more item.
Yeah, let's do it. We'd be happy to come back and chat with you. It's been lovely.
Fantastic, Barry. All right, I'm going to press the button, and it's going to kick us out into the cold. Have an amazing day. Thank you.
Everyone who tuned in today, thanks for listening to today's Relax and Enjoy Health podcast with Barry Bray. If you'd like to know more about Barry, you can find him at presentfutureself.com. on Facebook and LinkedIn under Barry Bray. And I've been your host, Andrew French, for optimal health, well-being and balance. If you want the bullet points from today's podcast or even for some free resources, check us out at relaxenjoyhealth.com.au. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or even leave us a review and a rating. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Facebook at Relax Enjoy Health. But for now, stay sane and have a great day.